Hi everyone and welcome to episode number 47 of the Australian Rock Show. My name is Colin Gray from the Rockin' and Rollin' Gray Brothers, and today is Sunday the 15th of November 2015 when this show is being recorded. On today's show, we are talking with one of Australia's finest blues and roots musicians, amazing harp player, singer, songwriter and guitar player, Balmain's own Mitch Grainger. These days, Mitch calls the United States home, yet he is currently in the middle of an Australian tour, and we thought we'd catch up with him and find out how the tour is going, to also talk a little bit about his new album, The Blues. A little bit of history, though, by way of introduction. After taking up the harmonica at age 13, Mitch was introduced to blues harmonica great Little Walter, and within 6 months, Mitch was performing blues and roots music 3 nights a week across Sydney on both the guitar and harmonica in a band, The Beefs, a band that included Alex Lloyd. Mitch was recruited by the Bondi Cigars in 1992 and played hard-hitting blues, guitar and harmonica, building his chops and touring all parts of Australia. In 1994, Mitch left the Bondi Cigars and formed Papa Lips with his sister Cara. The band toured constantly and played Australia's premier music festivals, including Woodford and the Byron Bay Blues and Roots Festival many times. Today, Mitch Grainger has gained an international audience for his harmonica prowess. Type in harmonica lessons into YouTube and Mitch's video is the first one on the list. Mitch's solo albums get the thumbs up from us here at the Australian Rock Show, and whether you are a blues purist or just a casual blues fan, Mitch Grainger is indeed top shelf. We're going to play a tune off Mitch's new album, The Blues, and then we're going to go straight to the interview. This is Mitch Grainger and the opening number from his new album, and the tune is called Mojo Hand. Mitch, since late October, you've been back in Australia and touring throughout New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria. Also a stint at the Bendigo Blues Festival, which was headlined by Joe Camilleri. How have the shows been going?
Very well received, actually. I've been joking because I've got 100% success rate and that everywhere I've played wants me to come back. So
that's a great sign.
Yeah, I can't say it could go any better, actually.
That's very encouraging. And you also did a show at the Cherry Bar in Melbourne.
Yep, I did a show there with Chris Wilson. I was opening up for Chris, which was great. So to go to Melbourne and open up for one of Melbourne's best and most loved singers and harmonica players was great. So that was a nice crowd in there, and that room sounded really nice. So that was a pleasure to play there. Yeah. And
has your schedule permitted you to catch AC/DC on tour at all?
No, it hasn't.
Since your album, The Blues, was released, how well has that album been received?
Well, actually, it was released this Easter. Yeah. So that was released Easter. It was recorded around December last year.
Yep.
And it's been really well received, especially here in Australia. It's been really it's got a lot of radio play. It made it into the Aberrack Blues charts, and it's just been actually going really well. I can't complain at all.
And a lot of the numbers, I mean, it's a genuine sort of tip of the hat to all those great blues guys, Blind Lemon Jefferson and Lightning Hopkins and Jimmy Reed. I mean, there's an authenticity about all those old blues guys that doesn't diminish with time at all, doesn't. And if anything, in today's era of, I guess, disposable music, for want of a better term, there's more and more people looking back and discovering guys like that.
Yeah, that's really true. And obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I've played music a long time and I've known about those guys ever since I started, because I started playing blues thanks to taking up the harmonica at a young age. But it is great to see, like, a lot of people in their late teens and 20s and 30s, like, discovering these guys for the first time and just really being blown away by them and the power of the music. And that power of that I talk about is always there. And so when I revisited listening to a lot of those guys, I felt like capturing that in my own way and sharing that. So that's what I did.
Yeah, and I think that comes across on the album. And I think you mentioned power there, but I think a lot of those original blues guys, particularly the Delta blues guys, were they were singing about their lives and their struggles and poverty and injustices, as well as love and their faith. And I think it's that realness, that legitimacy, for want of a better term, about the music that does continue to draw people towards the music. Is that what continues to draw you towards the blues, that legitimacy with the blues?
It definitely is an element. It's a strong element there. Yeah, in today's society that's full of junk mail in all its different forms, it sometimes can be so striking when people are so genuine and real. And that was one really good forum for that, has always been blues music. So I like that, in being able to be real and express myself that way, and it lends me to play guitar and harmonica and sing like I like to do. Yeah, so I can relate to what you're talking about for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just to close on that point, I mean, I really love a guy like, say, C.D.L. Davis, who, as is commonly known, as a result of polio in his hand as a child, developed a slide playing style using a butter knife. I mean, and at 88, he's still out there doing it. I mean, that's what I mean about sort of legitimacy. I mean, you can't manufacture that kind of integrity,
Yeah, you can't, And, it's good. This is me basically just deciding to throw my hat back in the ring as far as like putting out my own recordings. And so it just made sense to be wide open and be raw and honest and go back to where it all started. So that's what I've done. And I think you're picking up on the right things. And the reasons
it certainly comes across. Yeah, it comes across in the songs. I mean, and if you did return to those or some of those blues greats when you were looking for inspiration, I guess similarly, are there many young blues acts out there today who are also inspiring you?
Yeah, there are. I don't know if they'd be that well known over here, but there's people in Los Angeles where I'm staying that are really doing great stuff and in that genre. Like one band that I'm thinking of now is called The Record Company. Really like what those guys are doing. They take authentic blues and put their own stint on it, and they're a rockin' three-piece, and they do really great stuff. There's a couple of other people in that scene that I'm involved with there too that are really worth mentioning. But they don't really get out of the scene. Like, they're not that well known, but they are an inspiration to me. And that's some people like a guy named Johnny Moesi and another woman named Rosa Pullman. And maybe you'll hear of them in the future, but that's
okay. Names to watch. And look, I guess what's interesting to me is that you sort of like many other Australian musicians who established a reputation in this country through the live circuit, and I guess notably with the Bondi Cigars. Yet it's been through the internet and YouTube in particular, though, that really has started to open doors internationally for you through your online blues harp lessons. I mean, it's amazing technology, isn't it? That it opens those doors for musicians.
It really is amazing, and it's great. It's just like the internet kind of took down the music business in a way, and then it's starting to fill the void that it created. So if you went back 20 years, you'd have a record company that was promoting you. It would be their choice. It would be their dollars. It would be, but it would be out there, and you'd be getting promoted, and that way you'd get known. And if you're any good, you could play gigs, and it would work. But these days, record companies don't do that as much. But YouTube is kind of filling the gap, and people find you that way. It's great promotion, it's really been pretty amazing because I did those lessons not really expecting them to go anywhere near as well as they have. So it's just been, it's been like having a hit song, but it's on YouTube, and it's harmonica lessons, which then have turned people on to what I do in general. So that's really just been great.
It is, and I agree. I think it's a wonderful tool, and I think certainly through the internet and through Facebook and all the other sort of platforms, there's certainly an awareness for people to go out and see live music more so now than ever before. I don't think there's the volume of bands performing now, but there's certainly a greater awareness of bands to go and see. So I guess I was going to lead into my next question. As a musician, do you feel like you've sort of reached your goals, or rather, are your aspirations in music the same as they were when you started out, say 25 or 30 years ago? You'd
never have set goals. It's always evolving. So there's no like, oh yeah, I've hit a goal and now I can relax or anything like that. So I'm a musician, and that's what I always do. And so the landscape will always change. So you just keep doing what you're doing. And like we talked about before, if anything, like as you get a little older, you realize how the honesty and the integrity in the music, like we were talking about before, how that's really what you want to stick to. So I'd say that's the only thing that's really changed. In my 20s, there was a period where I was feeling the pressure of making money, and so I listened to other people and their ideas, but that didn't work out. So now I just come back around and stick to doing what I do best, and hey, guess what? It's working.
And I guess you've called LA home now for a few years. What prompted the move to LA as opposed to, say, Nashville or Vegas, both of which offer plenty of live opportunities, or conversely, are they now oversaturated with musicians?
Good question. For me, it was the people that I met, the community in Los Angeles. I met a great bunch of, like, a great mixture of established touring, world famous, like, sidemen. And I also met a bunch of up-and-coming, talented musicians. So it was a great, like, cross-pollination going on. I just landed in the right couple of bars and scenes at the right time, and they got to hear me play, so they respected what I did, and then it all just started to work out. I have been to Nashville. That's really exploding right now in Nashville. My experience there was that, and this was just my experience, but there it was more, someone would just say, are you a musician? And then they would give you their business card straight away without even hearing anything. Or, like, there seemed to be more desperation in Nashville. That was my experience. Coming in, not knowing, coming in those shoes, not knowing a lot of people in the town, not having connections in the in-crowd, so to speak. Los Angeles was way more open and more accommodating for people that want to give it a go, and less BS. Nashville on the fringes was a lot of BS. But having said that, that was about 3 years ago, and it really has been exploding. I'm actually going to go back to Nashville in March for a couple of weeks and touch base with people again and see what's happening over there.
Okay, very good. Have you been writing new material, Mitch?
Yeah, I've got lots of ideas on the go, and I'm going to be recording another album when I get back to LA, or basically start recording it in December when I get back there. So yeah, I've got preparations happening for that.
That's good. So people can sort of watch this space. For those folks who haven't seen you live on this current Australian tour, what can people expect from your shows? Are you also playing tunes from from Love and Demons as well as 21 Up?
No, actually, it's totally all blues specific stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm doing a lot of songs off the record, and then a lot of my other favorite blues numbers that that didn't make it on the record. So it's the blues tour, and that's strictly what I'm playing on this tour.
Fantastic.
So,
and
just keeping it like that.
Okay, and I'll just read out some of those upcoming dates where people can go and see Mitch Grainger live. November 15th at the Taraji Beach Hotel down there in the Gong. November 20th at the Stag and Hunter up there in Mayfield in Newcastle. 21st in Orange in New South Wales. 22nd in Katoomba. December 2nd, last show, Cat and Fiddle in Balmain, a fitting last show of the tour for a Balmain boy before you fly back to the States. So you've mentioned or briefly touched upon some of your early plans for next year, recording and more touring?
Yep. I've been invited to officially showcase for the National Folk Alliance in Kansas City in February, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'll be... I'll be recording December, January in Los Angeles, and then mid-February head to Kansas City, and then, like I said, I'll start a little tour. I'll go to Nashville, and then I decided I'm just going to have a few weeks off and just go and explore Mississippi and Louisiana.
Nice.
Some more inspiration, yeah.
Okay, folks, you can check out Mitch's website at mitchgrainger.com for tour dates, lots of cool videos, merchandise, and for any budding blues harp players, you can check out Mitch's blues harp lessons. Mate, before we go, every guest on our show gets to request a song to play. It can be one of yours, or it can be an Australian song that has meaning or significance for you. Is there something you'd like to choose?
Oh, I think a fitting song would be one of the songs I'm putting in my set right now is the AC/DC version of Baby Please Don't Go.
Fantastic. Let's cut to that now. Thanks very much for your time, Mitch, and good luck with the rest of the tour.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Colin.